All right, we want to welcome everybody to episode number 4 of our Backwoods Fishing Guide podcast. And our special guest on this episode is Mr. John Dalton from Creek Fishing Adventures. And we want to start out by letting everybody know a little bit about John and his background. And then we're going to get into some other stuff. We're going to talk about our fishing trip today and everything. So, John, tell everybody a little bit about you. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy, for having me down here. Yeah, we had a good day of fishing, but we'll talk about that later. But I have a YouTube channel called Creek Fishing Adventures, and that's my full-time job. So I started 8 years ago as like a little hobby, fishing creeks and streams and just catching anything. And then 4.5 years now, I've been doing it full-time. Quit my HVAC job. Went ahead and tried to see how this would work.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. I'm still making it. And I've evolved a lot as far as into kayaking and bass fishing and just catching all kinds of stuff. But didn't turn down any stripers today. But yeah, so mainly I bass fishing, multi-species fish, but I just enjoy fishing.
Yeah, so you're a good example that there's other ways to make a living fishing besides doing a guide service like I do. So I'm inspired by what you've done, and we want to get a little bit more into it. We talked about it out on the lake today. My biggest question was how long did it take you to get started and get to a point where you could make money on YouTube fishing and be able to quit your HVAC job, which I think to me is amazing that you was able to pull that off, because it's just, 10 years ago, 15 years, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
That you could make fishing videos and get paid for it, to do what you love and get paid for it. So how long did it take you to get started?
Well, I started I made my first video in 2016 in the summer, and all I knew about YouTube was like basketball highlights and just, looking up random stuff. Like, I didn't even know people were making like videos, and I never made a video. I had no intentions of ever making videos. But I started looking for someone. I wanted to watch someone that did creek fishing and like multi-species, just like around Tennessee or just normal streams around Georgia, Tennessee area. And I couldn't find anybody that did anything like that. Everybody was either bass fishing or saltwater fishing, and they didn't really care for, like, nobody really cared for the small fish, which I thought all the little fish were like, all different species are cool.
Yeah.
So for about 6 months, I kept saying somebody should start a creek fishing channel.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm just going to do it for my friends at work. Me and buddies when I worked at HVAC, we fished and liked to explore and go places. So I'd gone to a bunch of little places. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to show some of this. So I just went and bought a camera and like a cheap laptop and started filming and trying to put together videos. But what I found was I really enjoyed the process, and making a video pushed me to go explore more, to go find more places, to go find more unique things, to try to show it, to learn how to make the videos. So the first year I had like 100 subscribers, so it's like going nowhere. Second year I got I finally crossed 1,000 after 2 years of doing it. So at that, obviously I was just doing it because I like doing it.
Yeah.
And then from 2 years to 2.5, like a 6-month span, I went from making like $200 a month on YouTube to like $1,500 a month. And that right then is when I realized, I was like, man, this actually can make some money.
Yeah.
And it kind of just kept growing. I saved some of my money, quit my job, and just like started just making as many videos as I could.
Yeah. So John, he's the first person we've had on a podcast that's not just a true striper fisherman. You fish so you got a podcast that you started some, and what's it called again?
The Whatever's Biting.
Whatever's Biting podcast. So John, he fishes for anything and everything that'll bite, and I think what you've done is really cool, taking people out in nature and, letting people kind of experience what we experienced, maybe people that are not able to. I think it's awesome, man, what you guys do. It's pretty. And you're up to how many subscribers now?
155,000.
155,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's our goal. We're a long ways from that, but anyway, it's you have to start somewhere. So let's talk a little bit, and like I say, we'll go back to that. We're going to bounce around, but let's let's talk a little bit about our fishing trip today. So
Yeah.
John, I met John this morning at Notley, and you fished with me at Notley before. Or no, you hadn't fished with me at Notley before. You fished with me at Carter's before.
Yeah, probably about 3 times.
So today was your first fishing trip on Notley.
Yeah.
And so I've been excited about having John come in here and do this for a while now, but I got to think about it. I said, man, if he's gonna drive down here, we need to try to plan a fishing trip too. And that gives us something to talk about here. So let's talk about, tell everybody, I'll let you, people get tired of hearing me, so you tell everybody about our fishing trip this morning from start to finish.
First off, I'm not a morning person, so that's what creeks do good for me. I can fish them in the afternoon and catch them. So, like, getting somewhere at 6:30 is kind of rare, but it worked out perfect because I show up 6:30, Jeremy's already got the boat ready, jump on the boat, we run 5 minutes, 10 minutes, drop bait in, and we already had 2 striper in like first 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was quick.
It was on right away. We caught 6, and it was 45 minutes probably because I was like watching it, and it was like boom, just happened, and we saw some fish chasing. We saw it was really cool to see that one. I'm reeling in one, and there's like 4 or 5 of them following that one. They all came up to the top. Mm-hmm. That was really neat. So I've never been on that lake. It was beautiful. Beautiful lake out there.
Yeah.
It was really nice, real peaceful. I had a blast. We got in a bunch of fish. I did have to watch you catch 2 on top water. I got nothing.
Yeah, so we talked about this morning. We're like, let's live bait fish until that kind of dies off, and then let's go see if we can get a couple on top water for our videos, for our YouTube. And John had already told me he'd already caught like 6 fish. So John had already told me, he's like, I want to get a video of you reeling one in. Well, as soon as he said that, they just quit hitting live bait. So we switched it up. We ran to another spot. We got off a point that I've caught fish off of in the past, and we started throwing the top water stuff. And I got lucky. I mean, that's all there is to it. Like third cast, man. I mean, we had one blow up we was just using a big spook, walking the dog across this point, and probably about 13, 14 pound striper just come up and eat that thing. And which is, I mean, I love that. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing that top water bite like that. And then they ended up catching another small one right after that. It was like maybe 5 or 6 pounds. John did catch a bass though on top water. I
finally got a blow up.
Yeah.
It's like a 2 pound spot.
Yeah.
As soon as I pulled it up to the boat, it falls off.
Yeah, but either way,
it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was definitely a morning bite, and a lot of times it's that way. Sometimes the fishing's really good early, and then when the sun comes up, it dies off and gets tougher, and that's what we experienced today. But we got them. It doesn't matter when you get them as long as you get them. That's how I look at it, because I've had days where I fished all day and didn't get them at any time of the day. So I was thankful that we had a good bite. So, we've already been on here for a couple minutes. We want to give people time to come in here. And before we, thanked all of our partners and everybody that has made this podcast possible. And, Double A Graphics and Signs, B&B Custom Outdoors, Jill of All Trades Scenery, and Tangle Trout Cabin Rails. I want to thank all those guys for everything they've done for us. And, I want to mention this since we're kind of going in that direction too, and this is something we talked about today too, trying to make improvements and step this thing up to the next level, get better cameras, better quality. There's just so much I'm learning so much about this stuff every day, and so we're trying to step our game up, but we to be able to do that, it takes money, just like everything else. So if anybody's out there listening and they want to come on board with us and help us with this thing and help us take it to the next level, just get up with us and let us know. We'd love to partner with you. So
and you're pretty unique as far as like a striper podcast. There's really not a lot of people that really kind of focus on that and do that.
Yeah. So that was my whole goal of this thing was, I see all these podcasts, of different things, bass and, whatever it might be, not just fishing, but there's really not that many striper podcasts out there. And we have a lot of people around here that are really into striper fishing just like I am, and a lot of people that I feel like they deserved the spotlight a little bit. So let's bring these guys in here, let's fill them out, and I can learn a lot from talking to these guys, and getting other people's views on things. So we got some technical difficulties here already. We got the volume. Hang on a second.
Good playback. I have to say, one of your sponsors, B&B Custom Outdoors, made me a custom ultralight trout rod, and he makes some really good rods. So I can testify to that.
Yeah, Brian Avery, I'm telling you, he's a stand-up guy, family guy. I mean, he's just a great guy. Takes pride in what he does, and that's something that's hard to come by in this day and time. So check Brian out. B&B Custom Outdoors. He builds a great rod, and we actually feature him in this next video that we got coming. We got a new video coming. We've got more content coming, guys. Y'all just have to bear with us. We're all working jobs and trying to fish and edit and do all this stuff. So it's a lot. We talked about that today too. But talk a little bit about our Tennessee trip. And I know this doesn't really involve you, but you're from Tennessee.
You came up my way and fished.
Yeah, I come up your way and fished. And, we'd had this striper trip planned for a couple months. And, things just didn't work out. The stripers were spawning. It was a full moon. They wasn't moving much water up there. All the odds was against us in Tennessee. So after about 4 days, my plan was this. I had some guys that was going to come up and fish with me. And, my plan was, okay, I'm gonna fish these guys. We're gonna get on a good striper bite by the end of the week, and then when they show up to do our video, we'll have them dialed in. Well, it didn't work out that way. It was slow the whole time we were up there, and actually, what striper bite that we did get on kind of dwindled out as the week went. It got worse, worse, and worse. So by the end of the week, we're like, if we're gonna get content, any kind of videos of any kind, other than just us sitting here fishing, we're going to have to try something different. So we ended up, crazy enough, I know people are going to give me a hard time about it, but we went catfishing. Yeah. And surprisingly, we caught some big fish. We had 2 catfish up there. We was fishing Naked Jack down. First time I'd ever fished it before. Caught a little bit of everything, drum, white bass, but we started cut baiting some skipjack. And we had 2 that bottomed out 50-pound scales, and we had several in the 30-pound range. Blues had one, Shannon's son Ty caught like a 60-pound flathead. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
So we said, we come to Tennessee to catch big fish. We're going to catch a big fish somehow or another. So we made it work. But so anyway, we got videos coming soon. We got our Tennessee catfishing videos coming. Me and John did a video today that he's going to put together and work on and post in the next couple weeks. And then we've still got our fishing trip with the Lonesome River Band we did back in March that we're still editing and working on. So we got 3 videos that are going to be published soon, but just bear with us on that. So we got a few people starting to come in and comment. Alex Green said we definitely need more striper content. So there you go. There's a lot of different stuff out there, but there's nobody that really focuses on striper fish. So tell me, John, I know a lot of the striper fishing you've done's been with me, but you've done some other striper fishing too. Have you ever caught one on the kayak or just from the bank like you used to fishing?
I've caught one on the kayak, probably about a 10-pounder, the biggest one, and that was a handful.
I bet.
And it's a funny story because I caught it on a jerkbait and it got hooked all weird. It was like bleeding. So I get him in, and I didn't have a net, I didn't have a stringer, I had nothing, and I thought he was dying. I was like, well, I'm just gonna take this home, and I'm out in the kayak with nothing to hold on to it. I'm like, how am I gonna keep this fish? So I'm like holding it in the water. Next thing I know, it like thrashes and kicks off, and I watch it swim, and he just swims on away. Right. So I'm like, hopefully he lives. I don't know, but and then I caught like a little one. But I've caught him on a boat with another guy. I caught one on a glide bait, but that was more you go out and cast all day and catch one fish. That's why striper fishing, it's definitely I don't really target them because I feel like I'm just gonna go waste my time. You definitely need to know what you're doing. That's what's fun for me to come down and fish with you. I don't have to worry about finding them or do all the work.
Yeah. So, but what you do though, even though you're doing you're doing something totally different than what I do. What you do, I can tell you put in a lot of time and work to be able to make that happen. It's not like you just, and you travel a lot. How many states have you been into fishing and filming YouTube videos?
I need to add it up. But
so you're not sure?
Yeah. I usually fish 6 or 7 states each year. I went to Oklahoma. I fished in Arkansas when I came through there.
Yep.
I just got back from South Georgia, fishing Have you ever caught shoal bass? You ever gone down to the Flint River?
Never have.
It's totally different than what we did today. It's super shallow. You're like wading, and but man, those fish are crazy. That was really awesome. So that was a tournament I did. So doing kayak tournaments has pushed me to go travel places. Last year I went up to the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania for smallmouth. It's insane fishing up there. There's just so much smallmouth in that river. You're catching like 3 and 4 pounders like left and right.
Wow.
And in current, they're just pulling. So yeah, I love. For me, my thing I like the most is just exploration. Whether it's on a kayak, wading down a little creek behind a bunch of businesses in the middle of Chattanooga. I got a creek in Chattanooga that's loaded with all kinds of little fish that you would never, you drive over a million times, you never think to go in there. I've caught 10 species in a day out of there, just on a small lure. But going all over, and I was telling you about a trip I want to do to Louisiana just because I've never been to. It's in the middle of Louisiana.
Right.
So I just love going exploring, stopping at any kind of stream I can find. I find it interesting, all the different fish, and there's so many different species that are only in certain bodies of water. And they may be 10 miles apart, but only live over here, and these live over here. So that's kind of just drives me to go find, explore, and then you find those bigger fish in those little holes that you don't think are supposed to be in there.
Yeah,
that's when you get those little bonus catches.
Man, I tell you, with what you do, you can get to in a lot of places that somebody like me that fish depend on my boat. I can't get to those places that you get to. And we was talking about that a little bit earlier too. I was telling John of some places around here that he might want to check out that I would like to if I had the access to be able to get in there, but he does. So we got a couple people coming in here, and I think that's Barry Elrod's wife, Laura, said Barry and I love watching creek fishing adventures on YouTube.
Hey,
so
awesome.
You got some fans coming on here, so
Appreciate
that's
that.
good. Justin said drop some pins. So look, we talked about that today. Striper fishing pins are not going to really do you a whole lot of good because, as we all know, the fish can be there today and then be gone tomorrow. So a lot of it ain't so much, knowing where this guy's fishing or having this. There's not just a special spot out there. You have to be able to adapt and move around. You got to learn how to find these fish, because they move. They're not always in the same spot.
I get way more enjoyment finding fish in a brand new place that I've never been to. Also, going out and finding them, it's more satisfying. But I've got a couple of my best videos are in places that I've been back probably 10 times and haven't caught a fish there.
Yeah.
So everybody, I got a couple who are like, "Where's that at? Where's that at?" I'm like, "You can go there." But I can't catch anything there, so sometimes that's the way it is.
We talked about this. I mean, I've been in a situation where I've been fishing an area, and you pull up there, and all of a sudden there's 6 boats on the spot. And it's aggravating. It is aggravating. I'm sure everybody that fishes has been in that position and been aggravated. But to me, it's a motivator to go look for something else.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that situation, you have no choice but to go look for something else. And when you find something, when you're the first one to find that bite, you're probably going to get the best of it. Versus, let's go fish over here. There's a bunch of boats over here. Well, they probably already sore-lipped half of them.
Yeah.
So, I look at it as a motivator to go look and find somewhere else, and then that'll change, and then we'll have to do it again and over and over. But anyways, we appreciate everybody coming on here and comment. I'm sure we'll have some more people come on as the show goes. But anybody that has any questions or anything regarding striper fishing for me or just fishing in general for John. So I want to talk a little bit about how I got to know John. So like a lot of people that I've already had on here and that I know through fishing, John and his buddy TJ booked a fishing trip with me. I didn't know these guys I didn't know them from anywhere. So they book a trip with me on Carter's, and John shows up and he's decked out in GoPros, man. He's got GoPros on his chest. He's got them on his head. He's got, on a stick. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? And then he starts explaining to me, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel going. This is when he was first starting out.
Yeah.
So, and that got my wheels turning. I got to thinking, well, maybe I can get this guy to come back and film a little video of us fishing, and he can post it on his. And it wasn't long after that, man. That's when your thing, it took off. So, there again, that's another advantage to what I do. It's allowed me to meet so many different people like yourself that, was nothing but a customer that booked a trip. And now you've turned in, to be a good friend of mine. And so you know, that's like I say, that's another advantage to what I do. I get to meet people like John. And at the time, you was still a heating and air guy. You was still doing heating and air, but you was just trying to get your YouTube channel going.
That was right before I quit. It was like right at the edge. And my brother-in-law TJ, he probably mad he didn't get to come down here this time, but he'll probably be booking a trip soon after seeing the video I put out. Seeing us catch all those. Yeah. He likes to catch the big fish. Where I usually go for the small stuff. Yeah. But I remember he booked it. And he's like, "Hey, you want to go do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." I think I took off a day of work or something like that. We came down to meet and met, and it was neat for me. And like every time I come, it's neat for me to kind of sit back and just have fun and enjoy it. You know, I still like to film everything, but it's definitely. And I know some of my subscribers I think have come probably since some of those videos, but yeah, for anybody that's watching through my channel or anything. Jeremy will put you on some fish, and he makes it fun. He does all the work. I like watching him. He does all the work to get everything done right. Sometimes I tell him it goes too fast because I'm filming, and I'm like, "You gotta slow down." He's like trying to get the fish back in. Yeah, I'm like, "No, we gotta film this."
Yeah. So I was in God mode today. Yeah. I was trying to hurry up and get them back in, get a bait back out. Let's cook as many as we can because I know how it is. I knew that that probably wasn't gonna last all day like that. But John's like, "Hang on a minute, I want to get a video of that fish turning it back." So, I had to get out of God mode and get into, filming mode there for a little bit. So, Keith said you have to watch those HVAC guys. Yeah, so he's a heating and air guy turned into a YouTube fisherman. And so Alex Green, yeah, you know the deal, man. It's that's just how it is. But, like I said, I feel privileged to been able to meet John and get to know John. And like I said earlier, he's not just a striper fisherman, but this guy, honest to goodness, I know, the old saying is, there's people that can catch fish in a mud hole. But John, he seriously can catch a fish in a mud hole. He'll see a place going down the side of the road that looks fishy, and he'll pull over there and start tying stuff up and go out there and try to catch, not even knowing what's in there.
Yeah.
And go catch a fish. And better than that, you've shared all this stuff on YouTube for people to be able to see. And I think it's awesome, man. And we want to kind of do the same thing. That's what I've said on here before. John is one of the people that inspired us to do what we're doing with the videos and stuff like that. So I know there's pros and cons to both sides of it, but you've done well with it. And there's a lot of other people that have done well with it too.
I think you're just being genuine and just. There's a lot of, especially guys, for y'all it's a little different because there's like certain things you want to, keep secret. But if you there's a couple things you might have to keep to yourself. But if you're just honest, just show people, what's going on. People really enjoy it. And if you're out there having fun or your clients are out there having fun, other people are going to be like, oh, they enjoy watching it or they're going to want to do the same thing. And, and you're talking about, finding little fish. That's what I have fun doing. If I can just stop somewhere I've never been before, I catch something and catch a fish. I feel like that's an accomplishment,
Yeah. How often do you catch a new species that like a surprise? You just you're caught off guard.
I have to travel now. I've caught pretty much everything around here.
You've pretty much caught everything there is to catch.
Even like I have like so many creeks and streams, and I don't even like fishing them more than once or twice a year usually because I love to change it up, and also pushes me to go to the next spot. Go find another spot.
So John told me something interesting earlier. Alex Green, you'll like this one. So he's telling me he's way up this river. I'm not going to say what river, but he's way up this. I can't give out you spots, man. But he's way up this river in the kayak, in a place where I can't get in my boat. And he says he's looking over the side of the boat and looking down at 40-pound stripers. And I'm like, I need to call Alex Green, see if we can get that jet boat up there.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty wild that you're able to get into those places and it's wild that those fish are even in those places like that.
It's amazing what, especially all the clear streams we have. All these rivers that flow in around here are all super clear, and that's where kayaking is. You can, if people want to get into kayaking, you can float so much water that you'll never be able to touch. I can float all the stuff that a boat can never get to.
Wow.
But yeah, jet boat, that is something I would like to get in the future.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be fun. Run up some of these rivers, but also that same river a little further up, I went over a paddlefish.
Really?
Yeah, and that's the first time I've ever seen a paddlefish. But it was in a little river part, little channel. I went right over it. I'm like, what is that?
Well, we might have to say, I might have to save my paddlefish story for another podcast because it'd probably take up 30 minutes. But we run into some paddlefish up in Tennessee one time on Lake Cherokee.
Okay.
And we had no idea that there was paddlefish in there. And we hook up, man, and this thing's screaming back down the river and breaks us off. And we're like, man, we're on them now. We're on the big striper. Because it hit like a striper, you know, we snagged it.
Yeah.
We snagged him because they don't eat bait. You know, we snagged him. And so the next day we hook up in the same spot and this thing jumps up out of the water. Looks like a dinosaur coming up out of the water. And I'm like, that ain't a striper, guys. That's a paddlefish. Yeah. And I didn't even know there was paddlefish there. I know now. Yeah. But those are pretty cool fish, you know. But like I say, that's Tennessee, man, you never know. There's all different opportunities. We seen that a couple weeks ago when we couldn't catch stripers. The striper bite was just very slow to non-existent, and we switched it up and went and caught some big catfish. And I know, you know, I'm not a catfisherman, but at the end of the day, I've learned with guide trips, with taking people on guide trips, you do what you got to do to put fish in the boat. You know, no matter what, you have to learn to adapt to the condition and do whatever you got to do to make it work. So.
Keith said he ran an HVAC.
He run a heating and air company.
Whenever I got out, whenever I quit, I was gonna do HVAC side, and this might help you, so I don't know, but this is when I realized I couldn't do a YouTube channel and HVAC. HVAC, you're on call 24/7, and about 2 weeks in, I basically had to get rid of all my HVAC tools so I could tell people no, because I hate turning people down whenever they ask for help. And so I basically had to get rid of everything because I was like, if I'm going to do YouTube, I have to go all in.
All out.
So that's one thing that, you know, it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people can't do it, you know, but I had that opportunity. And that's definitely different than a lot of channels and stuff. But
man, the one thing, you know, I thought we were just going to go in here and make some cool videos and throw them up and everybody was going to watch. But it's been a lot more than that. You know, we've learned that it takes time. And it doesn't happen overnight. So you've done a great job with it. So I want to, let's see, Alex Green said he was going to take, let's keep that offline there, Alex. We'll talk about that another time. But, they are so much fun in those shallow, clear rivers. Yeah, and the place he's talking about, man, not only is it shallow and clear, but it's blowdown city. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a blowdown. And those stripers are in those blowdowns in that river. They'll come out of them blowdowns. You've experienced it. They'll come out of them blowdowns, hit that bait, turn, go right back to a blowdown. And, you know, you can say, well, just run 50-pound test. Well, it ain't that easy. You run 50-pound test, a lot of times in that clear water, they won't bite it. You know, so you have to find that happy medium, and that's hard to do. It's tight, you're in tight corners, and you got current. Those fish will get in that current and just dog you. You know, there's nothing you can do with them, really. So, Justin said, how much did Russ enjoy catfish? Russ is the catfish king. He's the catfish king now, so we've been giving him a hard time about that. But no, in all honesty, I was really surprised how hard those catfish fought in that current that we was in that day. Yeah. We had a lot of fun with it. Maybe it's because we hadn't caught nothing much in 4 days. But either way, we was excited about it, you know. So yeah. So Justin, next time you talk to Russ, tell him or call him the Catfish King. So that's what we're calling him now. We got a really good catfish video coming. Yeah. So I think you guys will enjoy it.
People really like those flatheads too. I'm excited to see that. I haven't seen those yet. Did you post those pics on Instagram?
Yeah, we posted some of them.
Yeah. Look on there.
Yeah, we posted some of them. And Keith McKinnon, he made a few comments on here earlier. I just want to go ahead and throw this out there for those that are watching. Keith is a part of the Lanier and the Oakwood Striper Club. I've been knowing Keith for years, and him and Jeff Craig will be our next guest on our podcast, which will be, oh man, I drew a blank. Let's see here. Sorry, give me just a minute. I'll tell you the date on it. May 24th. We'll have Jeff Craig and Keith McKinnon here. And so it'll be an all striper table on that one. I'm looking forward to it. I've been knowing Jeff and Keith for a long time. Great guys. And they have a lot of knowledge. So I'm excited to get those guys in here and pick their brain a little bit and get their side of it. You know, I mean, it amazes me how, you know, there's so many people that striper fish or just fish in general. Everybody has their own way of doing things, just like I'm sure you do. But, you know, there's not one way that's right or one way that's wrong. People can make things, what might work for you might not work for me, that kind of thing. But anyway, so we're looking forward to Keith said the 24th, so he still got it down. Sorry I forgot. But so let's get back to talking about Notley a little bit, because on our last podcast, we give a fishing report on Carter's Lake, and I didn't really talk that much about Notley. But the fishing on Notley the last month or month and a half, with the exception of a couple tough days, the fishing, it's been incredible, really. I mean, it's been a really good bite. Now, I'm not going to say we're catching 20, 30-pound fish every trip, but, you've seen the fish we caught today. Just a good average size fish, I'd say 10 to 12, 10 to 15-pound fish. And you definitely get more fish at Notley than what you do at Carter's most of the time. Yeah. So we've had a lot of fun with it. And, early spring, the fish were really up on those shallow points and up in the rivers and stuff, just on flats, shallow water. We catch them anywhere from 3 to 5 foot of water. As soon as it warmed up, and the water temperature spiked from like 65 to it jumped 10 degrees in I feel like a week. It's like it was springtime and then boom, it's gone. Yeah. And when that happened, it did change everything. I mean, the fish we caught today was in 30 foot of water. Now, we were pulling planer boards, and they was hitting shad, but it wasn't up in that shallow stuff. 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you didn't have that bait in 6 foot or less, you wasn't catching fish. So they're definitely starting to move out, and get a little bit deeper, and that's common, for this time of year as we get into June. And June and July, they're going to go even deeper, and it's probably going to be a downline bite or a spoon bite, that kind of thing. But Notley's a great lake. Like John said, it's beautiful. And has some really good, I was talking to some bass guys today that said they'd been catching stripers on top water plugs just like what we did today. So
how far do those fish come up when they hit top water? How deep are they when they see that?
Oh man, I've seen them come up from 30, 40 foot.
Really?
I've seen them come up from that deep and be busting all over the surface cement and then right back down. Because I've actually experienced this on Notley and Lanier, where you'd be sitting there catching them on top water plugs, and then maybe have a couple down rods out too. You catch a few on top water, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and boom, down rods go down. Yeah. So them fish are moving up and down in that water column, especially this time of year. Water temps are changing, and the fish are going to be kind of moving around all over the place. So they're telling me to pay attention to what I got going on here. Did you see the same thing in the creeks with other species? It seems like it skipped late spring this year. Yeah, I don't know, Alex. I mean, I guess you're talking about, just bass and other species. Yeah, I mean, this has been a weird year. Like, me and him talked about it before. I thought the way the weather was going that it was going to be a late spring, and then it's like all of a sudden it's here and then it's gone. Like I said, it just didn't last, which it never can. When you get on a good springtime bite, it never seems to last long enough. But either way, you take it when you can get it. But we're definitely starting to transition out of the springtime thing, even though we're still catching them on planer boards and free lines. I'm having to mix it up, and I'm having to put some split shots on my baits, weight them down a little bit. Maybe slow the boat down a little bit, not pull my spread so fast and that kind of thing. So I'm starting to pick up on things I'm having to do different than what I was doing, say a month ago, to be able to get these fish to bite. So that's just signs of that transition, you know. And spring to summer transition's never been as tough for me as maybe say like summer to fall. Summer to fall transition's tough. We talked a little bit about that today. These lakes around here, they start turning over, and the water quality gets messed up, and I hate a summer to fall transition. August, September, it's dog days of summer, water quality's messed up, and we talked about this today. That's when I think you need to start looking for your rivers.
Oh yeah.
That's you don't have to worry about it turning over. The water's always moving.
As far as just like pure river, like skinny river fishing, dude, the fall, like early fall is on fire. Like smallmouth, spotted bass, largemouth. As like in the middle of summer, even some of the colder rivers, it can be hard to catch them. But we're floating here recently, we've been floating. Our last couple of years have really been dialing in on like fall. Like when it hits September, dude, you just fish are eating like crazy in there.
Yeah.
It's funny to see the transitions. How like I really watch everything in a smaller scale compared to lakes, and it's the same, but everything's delayed.
Yeah.
Like the creeks, I finally gotten alive. Like it took a long time for the small creeks to kind of really pick up, where everything's in there is eating.
So for somebody like you that is, you're targeting a lot of different species. I mean, do you see a big difference in how you have to target these different species depending on the time of year and the conditions and everything, or or have you just got a simple method that you use that seems to work on all these species? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I have to make videos all year. So I have to keep moving where I'm fishing. So if I'm fishing, let's say a little creek that's a foot deep that you drive over, and that creek you won't catch anything unless it's a trout stream up here. You won't catch anything out of it all winter, like nothing. You might catch a bass, like one hungry bass. I don't think those fish eat. I think they get down and almost hibernate.
Yeah.
Because I keep a really close eye on some of these creeks, and I'll go to them week after week. And then finally, one day in the spring, it's been hot 2 days. All the fish are out, but they can shut back down if it kind of stays cold. And this year they kind of came alive, then it kind of shut back down. But now it's finally now it's like time you can get in the water and wade. You can go and now the things though in like creeks and little streams, the smaller it is, everything eats the same thing. So if I throw a little small lure, everything's going after it.
Yeah.
The bigger the stream, the more I target bass and stuff.
Matching the hatch.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about that. So, yeah. So it almost sounded like you was describing stripers. The one thing that question that I've gotten from a lot of people is, I've been told that stripers eat all the time. Well, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
If they did, they'd be 100-pound stripers. We just exactly what you just said, John. We see that in the spring.
Yeah.
That's why the pre-spawn, the time period leading up to the spawn is so good, because those fish, they will gorge and they will eat a lot during that time period leading up to their spawning. It's like they're building it up, reserving it, and when they start spawning, it's hard to catch them. I mean, unless you get a reaction bite, it's hard to catch them. They got their mind on one thing, and people say, well, they got to eat. Well, not necessarily. They've been eating, they've been feeding like crazy for the last 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So,
do stripers make like beds? Or how do they spawn? Like, what do they do? Do they just travel a lot, or?
I think they just travel in pairs.
Okay.
I've never known them to do a bed like bass. Alex Green probably could answer that question better than me, because he sees these river stripers. But from what I've seen, they pair up. You'll see a lot of 2 fish here, 2 fish there kind of thing. And like I say, now one thing we do see during that time is if you do catch one, especially if you hook a female, there'll be 4 or 5 other ones following. I think that's what we've seen up there today.
Oh, okay.
I'm convinced that there's some late bloomers.
Yeah.
That's another thing too I want people to understand, is all fish don't do the same thing at the same time. Yeah. I've seen that time and time again where you got several different things going on at one time. And so we got some late bloomers up there at Notley that are still spawning, that hadn't spawned out yet. And I think that's what we was seeing up there the other day. Yep. That's it. What I just said. He said usually one big female and a group of smaller males. Yep. And that's in the rivers. Now, like at Carter's, a lot of times I'll see pairs, which I feel like is probably just a male or a female, a male and a female. But he's right. You hook a female and there'll be 4 or 5, fighting over it, trying to get it in the boat. That was pretty cool this morning, man. You don't see that every day. So we had a good trip today. I think we ended up catching, how many did we put in the boat? 8?
At least 8, yeah.
I think we put 8 in the boat, and you lost that bass. We had a couple other, we lost one, so, but it wouldn't, I've had better days as far as catching more fish, but you caught one this morning. It was almost 20 pounds. So for Notley, that was
the first one. That first one was the biggest one.
That first one was almost a 20 pounder. Yeah. So that was a good one. So let me ask you this, just for anybody that's out here watching, or that might go back and watch this, for anybody that has this dream that you had several years back of, I want to go fishing every day, but I don't necessarily want to be a guide. I don't want to take, you know, clients out and make my living that way. I just want to be able to go fish and make money on YouTube. What advice would you give somebody that if they wanted to start out and be able to do what you're doing and do it for a living? What would be the main thing you would tell somebody?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and I have friends that have, you know, 3 times bigger channel than me, and I have friends that have been doing it just as long that, you know, barely have 5,000, and I can't answer everybody. A lot of it is, as far as growth, is personality, you know, how you engage, what your topic is, but if like I started, I tell people this all the time that, so when I first started my first YouTube video, I was 30 years old. I'm 38 now, so when I was
years ago.
So when I was 25, there's no way I would have had the confidence to make a video. I wouldn't have done it right. I would have been like, this is stupid. But you know, so it's different for everybody's, like, you know, at the time of their life. So the way when it hit me to do it, I was just like, what is there to lose? I got nothing to lose. I don't care if people make fun of me. I don't care if it flops. I don't care if it fails. I'm just going to do this. And when I started, that's when like I said earlier, I realized I enjoy this, and I'm having fun doing this. And the only way I'm going to do it is if I'm going to do what I want to do and have fun. And that's been my motto the whole time.
Yeah,
is not changed. So sometimes I'll get comments, I wish you would do these type of videos. I'm like, I'm only going to do the videos I want to do. I don't care if that video like, say, I think it's going to do better as far as views wise or not. I can only do what I feel like. I can only do videos that make me happy and I get enjoyment from.
Yeah.
And that's how they turn out to be more enjoyable for other people, because I'm really having fun doing it. And I'm not trying to, and I'm only going to fish for what I want to fish for. And that's what you got to do with doing your videos. You have to make them the way you want to make them. If you're trying to make a video to please someone else, or like, well, everybody wants to see this, so I'll make that. It's not going to work. It's not going to last, because it's going to dwindle away.
Yeah.
You need to build a community. So you have to start small. Like right now, I can't. Today I was sitting here. I had 16 Instagram messages, had 25 email messages. I was trying to catch up on that, and some of those were like 3 or 4 days ago. But I stopped answering messages on Facebook totally, because I just can't keep up with it. But early on, you have to engage with everybody.
Yeah.
You really need to build that following. And then I'm sure some people get mad when I don't answer messages and comments now, but I just don't have time. You know, it takes a lot of time. So
well, and that opens, you know, the conversation for something else. You know, there's people out there that say, "Oh, YouTube has ruined fishing." You know, I don't necessarily agree with that. Some people say that all this technology and live scope and all this has ruined fishing.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it's ruined it. I think, you know, is there pros and cons to it? Yes. I mean, even with my guide service, is there pros and cons to me posting pictures on the internet? Absolutely. You know, I mean, you're going to have people that are going to, you know, see your pictures and see where you're fishing, and they're going to go fish your spot. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, from a business standpoint, if I don't post pictures, just as if you don't post content, then, you know, I don't book trips, you don't get views.
Yeah.
You know, so there's pros and cons to both sides of it. But, you know, we talked a little bit about this today, man, and if people would respect each other as fishermen, you know, and like, I mean, I've been out there before scouting or fun fishing, and I see a guy over here that I know, he's a guide, you know, and he's over here, he's got clients on his boat, he's trying to make a paycheck, he's trying to keep those people happy. I've been in that position, so I'm not going to pull over there and cut him off or mess him up or do anything that might keep his clients from being able to catch fish. I know he's trying to make a paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mutual respect that people should have, no matter what, whether there's YouTube or live scope or whatever. You know, I mean, it's just the way fishing has evolved over the years, and we just have to learn to adapt to it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, what I see is a lot of people getting into fishing. You know, obviously it's growing like crazy. There's a lot of ignorant people as to like how fishing goes. Like
they don't know.
We talked about earlier, people asking for spots. Seriously, they're like, "Hey, can you share that with me?" And we're like, "No, that's not how it works." But my goal, as far as like some of my stuff, I want to inspire people to go out and find their stuff. I'm trying to encourage you to go out. There's stuff out there. I keep saying there's stuff out there that I haven't found that I'm trying to find. But But yeah, it'd be respectful to everyone. You know, there a lot of people can have fun, and you can have fun fishing a lot of different ways. You don't have to make fun of, you know, when I first started, a lot of people made fun of like catching small fish. Now there's all kinds of channels doing it because it's fun to do it.
Yeah.
So usually the bass guys were like, oh, look at those little fish. But now a lot of bass guys are going downsizing, going pan fishing, catching bluegill and, you know, red breast, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to have fun fishing.
So, you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about bass fishermen. I have a lot of friends that are bass fishermen. You know, I do. But, you know, I guess fishermen in general some of us can probably be I guess the most, I don't know what you want to call it, the most judgmental towards other people or what they're doing or whatever. But, man, I mean, I'm a striper fisherman. I love striper fishing. But I think what you do is awesome. And I've been, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've been able to watch every video you've made because you got a bunch of them. Yeah. But I've watched a lot of them, and I've been a fan for a long time. And that's why when we put this deal together, I'm like, I got to get John Dalton on here. I want people to hear his side of the story and how he got started, because literally when I met this guy, he was a heat and air guy, and that he has a passion and a love for fishing. And even though we do two totally different things, John, I feel like, you know, we share that same passion and love for fishing and getting up every day and going and doing it. And so for that, we have that in common. We can relate to each other. So I think it's pretty cool. So Sean said he wants his lure back. Hey, Barry, believe this or not, that's been 10 years ago or longer. I found that broke-tailed swim bait that we caught all them fish on that day at Carter's. I got it down here in the shop. To tell Sean I still got it. I'm saving it for him. We're going to put it in a glass case. So we had, you know, Carter's is one of these places, it's a lot of times it's hard to catch fish on artificial. And I had Barry and Sean out there one day, and we was catching fish on this one swim bait, and the tail was broke off of it. So it was just kind of an inside joke or whatever. But I still got it. He said it flat wore them out. It did. It wore them out that day. So there's our buddy Brian.
Yeah.
Brian Avery.
Brian?
So yep, B&B Custom Outdoors. And Brian, he don't even know what we got coming on this video. But we really featured him and his rods in this catfish video because we put them to the test. I mean, if you catch a 60-pound flathead in heavy current like that, I mean, this rod can get the job done, guys. I mean, it can, he may build these rods in his house or whatever, but it's the real deal. There's no doubt about that. So we appreciate Brian tuning in and appreciate everything you've done for us, man. And glad to see Barry back, man. Barry, we got to go fishing, man. It's been forever since you've been with us, you and Sean. No, you hadn't missed anything, Brian. No, you hadn't missed it. We're still editing and working on it. We may have the catfish video posted by the end of next week. That's what our goal is. So you hadn't missed anything, Brian. But we did give you a shout out earlier though, because John said that
he made me a custom trout rod.
A custom trout rod, okay. So Brian can do everything. He can make a custom striper rod, a custom bass rod, trout rod, crappie rod, whatever. Brian can do it. Carter's report, how bad is it after the rain? So I was told that it's way up. They hadn't pulled any water up there in about 3 days. I guess because everything's flooded down below. So the water is very high. There's a lot of debris out there floating if you're planning on going out. As far as fishing goes, you know, Carter's has been pretty tough. Honestly, it's been kind of tough. You know, once the fish started spawning up there, it got tough on us. But it's starting to come back around a little bit. I mean, I heard a report from a guy that did real well about 2 weeks ago up there. But, you know, there again, Carter's is one of those places that'll drive you crazy because you'll go up there and have a good day and think you've put something together, and you'll go back the next day or the day after and get your butt kicked. And it'll mess with you mentally. It really will. It's so hit or miss. You know, the hybrids, we've been catching some good hybrids up there at Carter's. But there again, you know, there's, Haley caught a good hybrid up there the other day. Shannon caught a striper up there that same morning. We caught some fish at Carter's, but to say it's been great, no. Consistently, it's not been great. There's a lot of fish, starting to push out over that open water. They're still kind of high in the water column, but they're in open water, which can make it harder to find them. You're not keyed in on them on these points or, in the back of the creeks. They're just, a lot of times you'll catch them out random. You might catch them pulling planer boards in 100 foot of water right now. You really never know. So yeah, Barry, let me know, man. You still got my number. So just call me and we'll get something together, man. It's been a long time. I'd like to get back up with you guys. And so yeah, Justin, that's pretty much the only report I've got on Carter's. The water temp's about 75 degrees up there, about the same as it is at Notley. I think at Carter's right now, maybe pulling boards and free lines early, but when the sun comes up, you might as well get your down rods out. It's time. It's time to start. When that water gets up in the mid to high 70s, low 80s, it's time to start downline fishing, at least later in the day. Maybe not, like I say, you might still, it never hurts to have one or two free line pitch rods out the back as you're downlining. But, the fish are definitely starting to transition into deeper. Now, a couple weeks ago, the full moon in April, when we was in Tennessee fishing, I heard reports of there being stripers caught at night on top water at Carter's. But that's just how quick things can change. You go out there at night and catch them on top water, and then you go out there during the day and you have to downline 40, 50 foot deep to catch them. So, yeah, love-hate relationship with Carter's. Yeah, tell me about it, man. I think everybody has that. That's just part of it, It's feast or famine. We've talked about that a lot on here, but it's just I don't know exactly why it's like that, other than like I've said before, there's an abundant amount of bait fish in that lake. You've seen that, and not many fish.
Yeah.
When it comes to stripers, there's just they're there. Don't get me wrong, but they're not just full like they are in other lakes. John seen real quick today that Notley has more fish in it. Then the second time we hook up, we got 4 or 5 other ones following it. You hardly ever see that at Carter's. But
you're talking about that rain, and that's something that messes me up because of the creeks. It was a good thing it worked out to come down here because everythlike about 6 foot high right now, so it flooded up our way. Yeah. So I can't even.
Which is a good thing, I think, for days to come because of the rain that we had. They're pulling the water now in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
I seen videos today from the people fishing at the dams, and the water was rolling. It wasn't doing that when we was up there. That's what...
Yeah, it hadn't rained for a while, so...
That's what they was lacking. That's what that was lacking when we was there. We needed that water to be moving, and that's just like the weather. You can't control it. You can't control the generation schedule. We're at the mercy of, we know it affects it, but you can't change you can't change what it is. It is what it is. So... Haley gets aggravated out. She's like, what are you looking at on your phone all the time? I'm on the TVA app watching the generation schedules, Yeah. So that's pretty much that's the name of the game up there. You got to watch that water. But so we're, believe it or not, man, this thing has went by quick.
Yeah.
I feel like we're almost an hour into this thing, and I feel like we're just getting started. But I've really enjoyed having John here for the whole day. We fished this morning. He followed me back here. We hung out here, took a nap for a little while, and then got up here and done the podcast. And I've really enjoyed it, man. And I appreciate you coming and doing this thing and sharing your story.
There you go. We're live again, baby.
All right, we live again. I don't know what happened. We got cut off. We was fixing to wrap it up, and we got cut off. I don't know. The wind's blowing 30 miles an hour out here, so...
Well, this is your 4th episode, right?
Yeah.
So you're still working out the bugs. And
oh, man.
That's going to go on for a little while, but
yeah.
I'm sure people appreciate you putting the effort into it. And anybody that's watching, that it takes a lot to just be able to do this right here.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot of effort to get it set up and going. So
yeah. So final thoughts. Tell people what your final thoughts are, and tell people if they don't follow your YouTube channel, tell them how they can do that.
Yeah, I post. I try to post 3 videos a week on YouTube, Creek Fishing Adventures. But I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I share a lot of stuff. If you want to keep up, I got a little contests going on with monthly tournaments. I've gotten into kayak tournaments a lot, and that's been. I never thought I would do tournaments at all. So now it's kind of weird that I'm doing these kayak tournaments. But I just got an electric motor for one of my kayaks. I have 6 kayaks right now, and thankfully I've got them all for free. So some of the perks of having a bigger YouTube channel, I get free stuff sent to me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a motor on there. Jeremy told me about a place. Now once I get the motor on there, I'll probably be coming down there to check out that little lake that you're telling me about. I can zip around, travel some miles. But I had a great day out today. Like I said, doing something I don't normally get to do, kind of sit back and watch it, and when the rods go down, just go over and reel them in. So that was fun. Yeah. But I appreciate Jeremy inviting me back down. Appreciate being on the podcast, and just thank for all y'all for watching.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys coming down here, and we thank everybody that makes this deal happen. I mean, Shannon and Ty and everybody and my wife Haley that's helped us run this thing. Everybody that's made this deal possible. Yeah, we want to thank AA Graphics once again, one more time. I want to thank AA Graphics and Signs for all these great signs that they've made for us. B&B Custom Outdoors, Brian Avery. Y'all give him a call if you want some custom fishing rods. Jill of All Trades Scenery and Tangle Trout Cabin Rentals. We appreciate all our partners that make this thing happen. And so we was getting ready to conclude this thing and wrap it up anyway. And it just cut us a little bit short, so we figured we'd come on here and wrap it up. And so that's all I've got. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and ask everybody to join us May 24th. We got Keith McKinn and Jeff Craig coming from the Oakwood and Lanier Striper Club. Looking forward to that. So we hope you guys will join us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.